Thank
Okay. Okay, our meeting is now in session. Please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Remain standing for a moment of silence.
5 firefighters, 7 police, that passes our last 14.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, our December meeting, last of the year, and we have some threatening weather outside of our doors here, so I'm going to try to make this meeting as quick as possible so that those people traveling can be on their way as soon as possible. So with that said, Chief Missoula, I think we have some swearing in to do.
That is correct. Deal. Mr. You could stand. Mr. McCarthy and Zoom land, if you could stand. And please repeat after me, raising your right hand.
I hear you loud and clear. I'm raising my right hand.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I
And I will
will
support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona,
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance,
to the same,
do the same
the same,
against all enemies,
and defend them against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of the office of fire ward
discharge the duties of the office of fire board
of the Sedona Fire District
in the Sedona Fire District,
according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
according to the best of
for
my
the
ability.
best of my ability, so help me God.
Thank you, Gene. All right.
Welcome.
For
Thank you.
them to take a picture with the chief, perhaps.
Yeah.
That's kind of a one for the new day. Want the flag behind them, or how do you want them to do that?
Let's stand here in the foreground.
Yeah.
And then
There they go.
1, 2, 3.
Okay. Second part of that is we welcome in the new board members. We have one that we're losing, actually termed out. And I'd like to recognize the outgoing board member, Mr. Al. Hello, Al, if you're right in front of us here, if you want to, please, something to present to you. Oh, wow. On behalf of the board, let me come around with you. Oh, my, this is presented to Al Camello. Read it, presented here. Presented to Al Camello, Mr. Sedona. With our thanks for the dedication and enthusiasm he has shown for the fire service and the people of Sedona, the Sedona's Fire District. Dates of service to the board was December 2018, November 2022. Al, on behalf of the board, thank you for your help.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm honored.
There you go.
in addition to that, as part of one of our traditions we've developed, you will get a brick for your yard or to throw through the window if you're upset with us. And we have a brick over here that will be placed at our flagpole tomorrow morning. And it'll live in perpetuity.
In perpetuity.
Here's a heavy brick to carry around and please don't go down.
Al, here's the cover for that plaque.
Thank you for your service.
Honestly, yes, it has been an honor, no doubt, and the event with Dean and I, and joy. Also, and elected 4 years ago was like one of the biggest events of my life because we really accomplished something that was very positive, not only for the fire district, but for the community as a whole. And so for 4 years, I had the opportunity to be invested in an industry world of fire, which I know, only a consumer. And I learned and could understand that there are probably very few places on the planet that have fire and medical emergency services, the level of competency and skill and capacity as a fire district. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. I think the evidence proves it.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you, Al. Congratulations.
Our entire meeting, but I can't. You gotta go, you gotta go. Thanks again. Okay,
Have fun.
with that said, we've got our swearing in of our members called to order. We had some awards and staff recognition.
Tonight, we're gonna have, this is gonna be a commonly occurring trend over the next year. We're getting a little long in the tooth here at Sonoma Fire. And, we've got two members that reached, 25 years of service. First one is Brian SBI. He started with us in 1997 as a volunteer, hired full-time in 2002, and became a paramedic in 2007, promoted to engine paramedic in 2008. Brian's got a multitude of awards for 2006 Firefighter of the Year. He's got unit citation in 2014, 2018, and in 2020. Born or raised in Sedona, went to Mingus Union High School before Sedona had a high school, and then has a degree in fire science. Brian, for decades, has been instrumental in literally everything we do that has to do with software, from payroll to staffing to our patient care reporting to our incident reporting. If you guys ask me for a report, it's Brian that's the genesis for that. And we're pulling those strings away from him slowly for future as you see the 25-year employee. Can't depend on these folks. So congratulations to Brian. Second person is Captain Kurt. Again, hired in 1997, was a volunteer captain in 2000, and then promoted to full-time firefighter later in 2000. He was promoted to a career captain in 2005. He was our 2009 Officer of the Year, and in 2014 and 2018, he received youth citation. Associate's degree in fire science and a bachelor's in leadership, and served in the U.S. Army as a flight operator from 1966 to 1980. And again, he's been with us for a long time. He's the integral of our organization and a wonderful person. I want to say thank you to both of them.
I would thank him for the board. 25 years is quite an accomplishment. It's also we as a district that they're short in their time remaining with us, capitalize on whatever they have and make sure we capture that. But I'm sure they've done a fine job as you identified, and congratulations to both of them, and look forward to the rest of their contributions with us. So, okay. As we get regular meeting, first item on the agenda, the public forum. And Chief, do we have any members of the public who would like to speak? Okay, thank you. Our consent agenda, I am going to pull items number 2, 3, and 4, which of 4, 2, 3, and 4, and we will discuss them momentarily as we go through the meeting. And they are the resolutions for the signatures for our new board member, and which leaves only on the consent agenda the November 20, 2022 regular meeting minutes. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, any further discussion? All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Items 2, 3, and 4 will be discussed as we get to them in the agenda. Next item on the agenda is a financial report and update, and that is from our Director of Finance, Mr. Gabe Boldra.
Please share the audit report is, yep, perfect.
And yes, under you, it says discussion, possible action, review, and approval of the June 30th, 2022
Perfect.
annual comprehensive financial report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. We do have Leah Hunter, Beach Fleshman, attending on the Zoom, and I'll actually turn it over to Lydia for the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Can you guys hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Perfect, perfect. And do you want me to share your screen or my screen, or I think you have the slide there, do you not? As part of the presentation? Sorry, I didn't hear what you just said.
Oh, that's okay. I can do it for you. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. If you want to click to the first slide that says, okay, and then the next one, the audit results. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm here to present the June 30, 2022 audit results. So I'm pleased to report that we are going to issue an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. That is a clean opinion. That is the best opinion that we can provide to the district. So, that's a reflection on management and everyone involved. So congratulations to the district on that. The rest of the slide goes through the agenda of what I'm going to cover with you today. So I'll go through some required communications. I'll go very high level to some financial information, talk about internal control and the annual comprehensive financial report. So if you turn to the next slide, please. Perfect. Okay, so as your auditor, I'm required to communicate certain items with you as those charged with governance. So one of the attachments you should have received is a letter from us, which kind of details this, but I'm just going to highlight the key points here. The first is accounting policies. So management is responsible for the selection of the accounting policies used. And we believe all the transactions are in the proper period and have a correct authoritative guidance. But I do want to point out that this year we did have to implement a new accounting standard, GASB 87 on leases. And that did have a material impact on the district's financial statements. So the district is the lessor of certain cell towers. And as a result of that, we had to record $987,000 of lease receivable. So basically the expected payments that the district's going to receive over the term of those leases. And then there's an offsetting deferred inflow, which is like a liability. So it really didn't have much impact to the income statement, but it did change your balance sheet as now you have an asset for those future payments you expect to receive and a corresponding liability. So I did want to point out that is a significant change from the prior year. I also want to point out that estimates are a key part of financial statements, because obviously if we estimate something incorrectly, it could impact future financial results. Your most important estimates are your allowance for your ambulance AR. So how much of your AR at 6/30/22 do you actually expect to collect? Another estimate is your depreciation of your capital assets. And the biggest estimate in your financial statements is the net pension liability. That is based on actuary assumptions and estimates. And obviously, if those estimates change in the future, it could change your net pension liability. We believe the disclosures are neutral, consistent, and clear. We don't believe you have any sensitive disclosures, but I do want to point out there are a couple of changes in your financial statements from the prior year. One is there's more disclosures now related to leases. So we added a lot of disclosures surrounding that new accounting standard. And the other change you'll see is we added disclosures related to Tier 3 for PSPRS. So that's for employees that started with PSPRS in 2017 or after. It's actually a separate pension plan than the Tier 1 and Tier 2 employees. It's a cost-sharing multiple employer plan. So we've added those disclosures because that became material in the current year as you continue to add new employees into that plan. We had no significant disagreements with management. That's what I'm required to tell you. I will tell you we had no disagreements with management, significant or not. We do continue to look at state statutes as part of our audit. Listed here is one of the state statutes that we're required to provide our opinion on in a way. So we have expressed that we believe you are in compliance with that state statute. When it comes to adjustments, we had no uncorrected adjustments. And then if you go to the next slide, this summarizes high level our adjustments. And what you'll see here is the numbers when we started the audit and the adjustments. And really the takeaway here is you'll see there's a line that says prepared by auditor leases. So the biggest adjustments we did make were just as a result of implementation of that new accounting standard that will not be there next year. Then we also, as normal, suggest adjustments to your pension accounts. As a non-attest service, we adjust your pension liability and expense to those actuary reports. So next slide, please. All right, so this is just a summarized statement of net position or a balance sheet. So you'll see you've had an increase overall in your assets and deferred outflows. Part of that is the lease receivable. Part of that is capital assets. You had about 2 million of additions in capital assets, offset by about 1 million of depreciation. Your current liabilities are in line. Your non-current liabilities continues to go down as you make debt payments. And you will see your net pension liability did go down from the prior year. And again, that's all actuarially determined. And then if you look at the net position, this is basically your equity. We would really like to see that unrestricted line be positive, but it is trending in the right direction. And your total equity is positive. So we're seeing a very good trend there. And the reason it's negative is because of that net pension liability. And so things are trending in the right direction for you guys. So no concerns there. And I'm going pretty quickly, so please stop me if you have any questions. If you go to the next slide. Perfect. This is a summarized statement of activities or your income statement. So you'll see property tax revenues increased from the prior year. You had a rate increase and increased in assessed valuation. The charges for services went down. That is down due to due to wildland revenue. So that's included in there, and that obviously does fluctuate sometimes significantly from year to year. And the other revenue is often fluctuates due to grants that you receive. And your operating expenses, that you'll see did go down from the prior year. So that's what we want to see in line with the revenue. And then the pension expense there, that's an actuarially determined number. And again, this year had less pension expense and the liability went down. So it's very summarized, but I wanted you to take a look and see that you did have an increase in net position for the year. If you go to the next slide, please. Oh, and I'm sorry, this spacing didn't work out on this with all those zeros out of line, but hopefully you can see that this is just a summarized cash flow because that statement I just showed you is not on a cash basis. So it's also important to make sure that your cash position is still strong. You will see that you had a net increase in cash for the year of 848,000. And what we want to see is that first line, that operating activities line, to be positive. So that's about 3.1 million in cash flows from operations. So very good trend in your cash accounts. Okay, if you turn to the next slide, this is just internal controls. So as part of our audit, we do look at internal controls. And we have no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in controls to report to you today. I do just want to take this opportunity to remind you how important your role as a board in your oversight is in the control structure of the organization. It is a small organization, and therefore your role is very important. So I just wanted to stress that and thank you all for your role and for the diligence that you put in to reviewing the monthly financial statements. And then if you go to the last slide here, this is just a summary of what's in the annual comprehensive financial report. So that's the big 100-page or so financial statement that we're getting ready to issue. So it does have 3 sections. In the introductory section, there's usually a GFOA certification. So you might notice we have not received that yet. They are having staffing issues, and so we have not yet received that certification from the prior year's statement. So we are planning for you to approve the audit today, but we will not issue the audit until we actually get that certification to that page to put in the audit. The financial section is where my audit opinion actually relates to. So that's where you'll find the audit report and the financial statements and all the notes and information on that. And then the statistical section has a wide array of other tables and information just to provide a more complete picture, not as much financial in nature regarding the district. And so with that, I would like to thank Gabe, the chief, everyone at the district for their help with getting this audit done, and open it up to any questions at all on the annual comprehensive financial report or anything that I discussed.
I don't know, does the board have any questions? This report we have before us differs from the audit.
So the entire document is our annual comprehensive financial report. As Lydia kind of broke it out, the introduction, that letter of transmittal is prepared by us, JVG and the district. The middle section is that financial section, which is the actual audit opinion letter and the audited financial statement.
Okay.
And then the last, again, is part of more of that ACFR, with that above and beyond, that has all the statistical information, both current and historical.
And with that said, historically, board member has been part of the audit. If so, that part, is that the case with the report at all? Or is that?
So typically, yes, the audit process, the auditors select a board member, typically to speak with, that ask some questions. Well, I actually wasn't filled, so I will defer to Lydia on that one.
And it's not that I need to know a name. I just want to know that we were part of that process.
Yes. And Mr. Chair, I believe you were not available the day that we were there. So you were not the one we spoke to this year. But yes, we did speak to a board member. And that is a very important part of our audit, is we want to hear from the board. You actually, as the board, are engaging us. We are reporting to you as those charged with governance. So yes.
Thank you. It looks like a very comprehensive report as it's so titled, and perhaps maybe move forward with our financial reports. Those changes, then there was only like two main changes that affected this report that we didn't have to do previously. You can assist us in pointing out where those changes, how they affect our financial position where we're at as we move forward. Other than that, thank you for all your work and your staff's work, and also with Gabe and your staff, as well as the fire district's administrative staff. So thank you very much. Or any other questions? Okay, and we're looking to approve this for a final. Want to wait for a final? Or?
We'll ask you to approve the draft in draft format today. And again, we won't issue until we see that GFOA letter certification, that GFOA certification. But in full and substance, this will be at once. Lydia, or once we issue the final audit report, we'll have a copy of that final audit for their records.
Yes.
Those changes that we have discussed would then be all part of the corrections.
They're already included.
They're already included. Yeah. Okay. All right. Then with that said, I move to go ahead and approve.
Wait, one page.
Which page?
The title.
The
There's an updated one that was sent out after.
Yeah, yep, it's on the
Maybe
computer.
that's why he's on
It
it.
should be just, but
I don't think it was, 'cause I read it also. It wasn't right.
On this one, it is okay. Here, the elected board member.
Yep, Jake, which had elected board members, need to be updated.
Yeah.
So, and it's updated in the computer. We just didn't get the correct one in here. So we need to make sure we get it out. Okay, with that said, I will go ahead and approve the financial report, as stated with corrections. And, do I, any, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. The document is approved. Very much. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay. Mhm. Okay, the next item on the agenda, I believe, is the financial report.
Yes. All right. Board, you have the November financial report in your pack. Start off with the November numbers. You'll see our property tax collection came in about 2.7 million. We were under budget by about 33,000. Solid revenue was at 164,000 per month, which under budget by 82,000. And really, we had ambulance revenue driving that variance. A little decrease in volume, but we're also seeing a small decrease in revenue kind of across the state. So more of the holiday variance lower than. So with that, we'll continue to monitor that. On our expense side, we're $1,469,000 total expenses for the month of November. We are under budget across all of our major categories. Total under budget for the month is $206,000. I will point out though, personnel, what's driving that saving for the month was timing. We didn't receive our workers' comp time for the November reports, so that'll probably be reflected in December.
Okay.
Year to date, we're at 0.5 million in revenue. We are budget by 93,000. Property tax collection still lagging for the year. We're actually still under by about 185,000. Through November, we've taken it at 9.7 million, and we anticipate to see 9.9 million. Just kind of that. Typically, we see some timing variances, and I know 185,000 sounds like a big number, but it's of the 9.7 million. It's about a 2% variance. For revenues, those have been strong, are helping. Both our wildland is really the biggest driver on what's why we're seeing an overage overall for the year. Looking at this, we're at $8,018,000 total expenses, but by 230,000. And as you can see, you know, from the charts in the report, we are under budget across all of our major categories. The one exception to that is vehicles and equipment. We are over on that category. Largely driving that has been vehicle maintenance for the year, as well as some of our EMS supply purchases. As far as where we're at year to date, as far as percentage, we've expected 47% of the budget with 53% remaining. As far as breakdown in expenses, personnel are 53%, followed by operations at 7%, both managerial and communication are right there at 5% of our total expense. We ended the month 16.5 million total hand, compared to 15.98 at the same time. We're actually still up about 600,000 in total cash on hand. Our other assets have increased from 22.6 to 23.1 million. And liabilities decreased from 1.4 to 30.9 million. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions the board has.
Thank you. Do we have any questions on the financial report? And you know, as I stated, as through the year, the rest of the fiscal year, those areas that are affected by those changes identified by the financial report we just heard, you could assist us in identifying where those are.
Yeah.
And that.
And typically those changes you're going to see really in these assets and total liabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we don't those changes yet because we're waiting for the audit report to be finalized. Those adjustments will occur there, and that's really where you're going to see that change. All of those things that Lydia talks about, the cash flow piece as what we're giving you on a monthly basis. We're letting you know how we're performing compared to the prior year. In fact, the last page of our board report is that kind of 12-month rolling cash flow as well. So you can see where we started the year, and as we go through the year, where each month's performance impacts where we're gonna be at year end. So, thank you.
With that said, then, we'll go ahead and, move to approve the November 2022 financial report. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the November 2022 financial report is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is, the Chief report. Chief Mazulis.
We'll start with, Rob.
Okay.
Well, off we go. Thank you, Chairman Ford, members of the board. We'll be brief. We just have some things to highlight that, we talked about that were upcoming last time. And as far as we can say, we're great success. The Toys for Tots fundraising and the Everest climb exceeded expectations, went well over the requirement to reach that elevation climb. And the donation portal is still open until the 15th, so if you need that, let us know and contribute to this great cause. Training was completed last weekend as well. That was that 3-day exercise multi-agency feedback from the participants, thanking the organization, praising the organization that conducted it. And we'll look forward to continue to partner with the organization here and in the region. Also, it's not on our little slide, I forgot to put it in there, but the bike ride, the bike rodeo, I think it was 65 bikes that were distributed on stage, obstacle course, a great activity, great safety piece, and members of our staff attended to kind of lighten the load. A lot going on this past weekend. Our annual awards are coming up again, and so we have been putting out that deadline for our call for submissions and all of those that we're aware of. If you're interested in finding out about it in the process, go ahead and reach out to Kiona in HR. She's working that portion of it for sure. And we look forward to recognizing and praising all of our hard work of our hardworking staff. Staffing updates. To report that regretfully the telecom search didn't result in a viable candidate this time. So I would be deferring to Chief Coyle, but Chief Coyle is not here, so we'll defer to Chief Mazulis on what the next steps are. He may actually still be being cited. So I will let Chief Mazulis answer that. But we don't have anything to report about that this time from my position here. Upcoming events for the board to be aware of, and then also our key staff members, the ACTA Winter Conference, moving back to Laughlin. It's coming up in January, so if you would like to attend to get your, your board training, it can also be done online if you don't wish to attend that conference, but it's a great networking event, and look forward to that twice a year. So reach out to Ken or to myself if you want us to help you book that training. And then we'll be talking about the board workshop. We'll be gathering some date ideas for that when we get new board members. For past reference, we'd like to do a board, a Sedona board acclimation. So letting you know how we work through things, who staff are, what our processes are here. That's outside of the statutory training that you would get through AFTA. And we'll put that together and be a fun day of meeting everyone here at Sedona Fire with what we all do. Mental health moment this month, I kind of went a little different with it this one, and it is Universal Human Rights Month. And so at this time of year, we're feeling generous and caring, compassionate, and also maybe a little overwhelmed. There's a lot going on in the world, in our neighborhoods, and everywhere these days. We're coming up on the 75th anniversary of Universal Human Rights Day recognition by the United Nations. So the United Nations will be doing a year-long, focusing on the work that they do for the fundamental human rights of people of the world. All starts right in our community. So I'm with you today, and if you have any questions, I'll answer them. Otherwise, that is my report.
You know, if we could get insight as to, or anything to comment on either you or the chief as to what happened with our IT selection.
Looking for a rubber duck in the Pacific Ocean. And it's not to the T world, but just in, Arizona's having difficulty across the country. Got an open IT position very similar to ours. In fact, I think the wording for the job description has translated over to theirs. They're working on filling one. IT is right now. I mean, that's what drives the world, and living in a municipality with a lot of different recreational activities and opportunities. America, and it's, like I said, the pool's smaller, and so with this last round, and it just the applicants just didn't meet the requirements that we have to be functional, and we don't have these off requirements that are unobtainable. It's just it's a bit unique because of our rural environment. So we've met Bob and we need to solicit for interest, and we're looking at all of the reasons why right now and working towards trying to figure out how we're going to continue to recruit and for people to consider moving up. Don't remember the last person accepted a job about 8 months ago after local housing and the community. He lived in Prescott. He ended up moving out of state, and it's competitive and it's a good job environment. It's just everybody else is competitive. So what we're doing about it in my report, but it's ongoing.
Thank you. We, board members, have an opportunity to probably discuss it a little more one-on-one as we do our monthly one-on-ones. And if there's common input, then perhaps we can relay it back. So we have a understanding of where we're at with that whole process, because we've been working pretty doggone hard for a long, long time, and it's heartening to see the position continue to go on. So, okay, thank you.
I've got a couple of questions, Heidi. Is it possible we can get, I appreciate Kim sending the dates out for the after meeting. Can we get the date of June meeting as soon as they come? Oh, they're not out, okay, great. They're out, that's great.
It's typically the second week in July, but it's not, that's just an estimate. So when you can look forward to it.
Okay, great. Second question or second comment has to do with the identifier orientation for Scott. Can I come to that because I'm not one?
All of you will be invited. It will be full board. Yeah. We like to do them when we have, every 2 years after an election.
Ah, okay.
Right, and it's for the entire board. The entire board is invited towards the specifically the fire district and specifically also, but it is a whole day, usually just a 1 day, and we got guest speakers that we deal with each one of our meetings, and that's involved and on quite a presentation in years past. So I'm looking forward to it. So I'd hope they'd be every year, but unfortunately, we have it every other year right after the election. So
Great.
for everybody.
And when's that?
Usually in February.
We try for February, so if we can get together, we'll, what we'll do is spray out the chief schedule, and who would be doing the presentation, our schedule will look like, and then we'll send out a little meeting questionnaire for you all to make sure we align. And yes, our goal will be sometime in February. If we have to do more.
Okay, so thank you.
Thank
Chief.
you.
Back at you.
Great, covering for Chief Coyle. significant events, I'll kind of briefly, Kirk's gonna get more detail, but for last month, the significant events that come to my mind were a structure fire and a mobile home fire down at the Bear Wallow. And I'll let you know the details. I just want to say they're significant to me in the district because one crew did an outstanding job of keeping it to the point of origin, and which is kind of expected of our folks. But second to that, as equally important to me, is it created an environment that created a lot of conversation between me and the homeowners, and it's going to manifest to further educate them on wildfires and things like that going down the road. Already got meetings scheduled, so excited for that. Pacific Wildland, I'm not going to go through the rows of the expected behavior this summer, but I do want to quickly highlight Captain Murray and I have been attending the CWP, the Community Wildfire Protection Plan grant funding opportunities, being Valley Chief, and we're looking at opportunities for us to engage in grant funding for wildfire reduction and prevention and education. So we're working on a regional approach to get more bang for our buck. Captain Rand is also, we have an organization in Northern Arizona called PFAC, Ponderosa Forest Advisory Council. He's kind of the chair of that to kind of revive it. It was big 15 years ago, and we kind of set it up and needs to be he's working aggressively with that. Working on wrapping up for our fire season and getting all of our training started. In January, we do our pack tests and our wildland refresher, things like that. And we've got a couple folks, Captain Miranda, you'll start noticing wildland heavy. Both him and Dr. Sean Foster are part of the national committee. They'll be meeting in January in Boise, Idaho, to work on national standardization of how to respond medically to wildfire incidents, which for a little Sedona to have a couple folks influencing the national standard. Those guys work hard and their hard work paid off. And lastly, with wildland, firefighter Foster just from being part of the team for S5. That's like one of the top command and general staff trainings, and he's on one of Type 1 teams in the state. For him to be selected as teaching cadre is pretty incredible. And he just returned from that. It's a pretty neat deal. Yes, Matthew Spinelli is just, his personality just is a kind of a jump right in approach. I don't know what he's doing. But a lot of I he's doing. I just don't know how he's doing it. So kind of thing. Integrating with our crews to upgrade CMAP, getting to know our different softwares that use specific to fire and really capturing them. He's already come up with some great ideas and updating and integrating and working to really. We didn't skip a beat with JS. He's jumped right into beat first, so we appreciate him. And telecom, also put out stop fires, things breaking here and there. We engaged with Motorola to get the potential for them to do a system build out, and then Bob is engaged with a couple other vendors that we use for stuff. And the intention was to meet yesterday and have a full report for you, but because of the weather, it was delayed until tomorrow. We're meeting, and I'll have an update for you. And expectations that we're going to have by the end of January some more cool numbers for the board to review as far as continuing to upgrade and improve our IT infrastructure. And now for operations, we'll move to any questions, we'll move to CRR.
Okay, I don't think there's any questions for the chief. All right, board, do you have any questions for the chief? No, thank you. You got community reproduction, you got the floor.
Mr. Chairman, board, lots of fires, most inspections
been, fire alarm. By the end of the year. And, under that, fire investigation. Yeah, structure fires, one way, home residents. Issues that, if you see there are, visual of, they were seeing. We're at the house about 6:30 in the afternoon, when 6 o'clock, calling in. What's going on in the house, for the home. Patients been hard to figure out. We had our engineer, car up there, he had pump the hydrant, giving us a very low water volume, because it's very dead main. Our tenders were involved. Fire was 7:30 evening. Now, we're going to go out to make access. The ladder truck up, parking it right there in front of me. And next morning for investigation, phone ring with more stuff out. Days we were re-entering the place. Spot fire. Really. This is probably about a 2,500 square. Here, another slide. Here it is. So for the investigation part, I want to bring this up, because we do have drone for me. So he was getting me aerial shots of the home. He also right there on the bottom right-hand corner. Application area on the second floor, which I had no access to, so I could see that. So he could get in there with that drone. Area with the kitchen. So I'm pretty confident the fire started on that corner of the home. That one, this was half ago. Carefully. Or the RV park. People wanted. They woke up. Oh, went out from behind the refrigerator. He looked out the window. He did a great job. Got in there, knocked it down, put it out. Right next to it. Right next to it. And, we woke up and pulled out before we started. Staying off. But you damaged. They're doing it. Got this day, there was no. Kudos to the crews, did a great job. Going on with that, I just want to thank, our light duty guy that got a week or two ago. So, moving forward, so quick, he's picking it up, he's helping me out by fixing all the little things that I don't have to worry about, and I can focus on these other big things that are ahead. So on that note, I talked about steel detectors last month, so this month I'm gonna talk about smoke detectors. And the reason I bring that up, mainly that RV fire right there. Most everybody has smoke detectors at home. They're good for about 10 years. You should replace them. Replace your batteries once a year. Like me, you don't remember.
I'll have them with 10-year batteries in them, so you don't have to remember 10 years. And you change it up there. But what really got my attention was a lot of people that have RV bills, van lifers, they don't have smoke. They have smoke detector in there. Luckily, they will, smoke detectors.
And I've got a quick question, in relation to the structure problems that we've had and the investigation as to determine the cause of origin. We reached out to fire inspectors, fire arson investigators to ensure that we're learning as a whole, better as a whole.
We have these like the mobile home fire, the first sign that I saw that's right there, you don't have to get pictured it. That's a different story. The reason I can't really get into it is because of the structural sound. Only in there to start pulling away from the heater. So it really needs to be demoed, and as they demo it, usually the insurance company, they really want to invest in it because they do leaks. The science, the heater,
So that, of course, is available to us.
yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha.
And also, we're all meet up the like fire marshals. We need
Gotcha. Good to hear.
About the 10-year batteries, where do you get them?
they're already in the
With your, has smoke detector, and we have them up high, so we're going to change it.
the special battery is particular test of have to buy the whole detector.
Fine, okay.
Hey, Chief?
Right, operational support. Captain O'Hara, one of our light duty all-stars, has taken the bulk of the EMS stuff. And this is really focusing on what I'm working on when I moved to missions is updating our inventory system and making sure we strive. We want to have that up and operational. The only holdback will be training our folks on the software. And that's not a big lift, it's a new process, so we want to make sure, we're not hurting anything to do it slowly and appropriately, and so we're doing a great job of that. He's also taken on some responsibilities with, managing opportunities that pop up within age, and, got a really good commuter and a good background in EMS to be able to handle those things. So that's what we've been focusing on. Good activities, continuing to do a great job. We ran into some issues with some major repairs, and the parts are broken, so there was some delays. And the training, really focusing on, we've got a test in January for the battalion division chief position that'll replace mine. Training for those classes put together. Right after that, we have a New Year's test this March, and been working in training. And I'm doing a lot of training for that. Continuing to train with the new hires has kind of been the focus, and that typically is this time of year as we wind into the holiday season, and in January we'll ramp up with technical rescue training and wildland training. Excuse me. Moving on to the incident summary year to date, you can up year over year. A little uptick in November, but as expected, we have our winter dip, and then we'll start to see that pick up again in the spring. Calls are balanced by station, pretty typical year over year. And again, 1 through 4 are in the log. But on to the chief's report. Station 4 update. So I engaged the construction company did a site survey, an extensive site survey, and determined kind of 2 options for the property in Uptown. One of them involves acquiring adjacent property. So I engaged the city, and the city's recently acquired a lot of different properties, and they've got a lot of long-term strategic planning for how they're going to manage traffic and other things. So I engaged with the city and asked, what their plan is for the properties they have in the Uptown area. And they identified some properties that might possibly be available if that was evaluating the options presented by the construction companies. That being said, I'm meeting with the owner of that property to determine if there is a workable solution to bring to the board for review. And if and when there's something there, I'll bring it to you. And if not, I will continue with the discussion with the city to see if there's some sort of partnering opportunity with them. Either way, and I want to say for the board meeting, I'm hopeful. I would like to, maybe not a deliverable package, but at least some actionable information to you for perspective, based on the outcomes of these meetings in the next week and a half. So, that's station. And they update, towers are mentioned, and we don't have any, we aren't looking at any new tower facilities right now. Working on upgrading the ones we have and get some modifications to make the existing towers that Bob's pricing out right now. Pulse Point, so as you know, we did not renew the contract last year. The British decided that the cost was exceeded the benefit. Thankfully, Arizona State University has funded a grant, and I gladly signed on board because I think there's a benefit to it. And while the reason why Pulse Point, the benefits weren't fully recognized with alerting our public, I think the revamp that we're working on, it's going to include notification of narcotics overdose in the area, so you can go and administer Narcan. So it'll be an added feature to benefit our community and alert our public. And so what Pulse Point has done, they've gotten with the Cottonwood Communications Center and they fired them again, make sure all the softwares are still talking and communicating. And it is anticipated that we'll have where things go. So I'm excited to report that. I think it's a good product. So I'll hopefully be giving you the login information in January. That's my intent.
Now, the Pulse Point proper, it's a similar product.
It's Pulse Point all day long
Okay.
with the added opiate alerting mechanism.
Okay.
And a little bit of rebranding to try to generate interest from the public.
Okay.
And then some of you asked for some more data on response time, things like that. We're putting together our vision and seeking direction from the board. We'd like to do quarterly time report out, alternated with getting every meeting is alternated so that, and it's intentful because if you respond times monthly, the data doesn't trend much in one direction or the other, so it doesn't paint as good of a picture. But if you get it quarterly, you can see trending over a period of months. And just visually, it makes sense to best communicate. So we'd like to start in January with some out-the-door times and response times and things like that. For this month, I asked Brian Espial, of course, to put together this slide. And this is a year review of our average minutes on our backcountry, which is typically going to hike somebody out in the basket. And the thing with data is what you do with it, right? And this data set opened up a bunch of questions for me, but that's what data does, right? But why did across the board we see a general reduction in total call time on backcountry rescues, 21 over 22, or 22 over 21, and as we implemented a lot of new equipment, is it because we got better accuracy with our tracking of GPS data, so that's some further things to go down, but you can see on average, it's between 100 and 100 minutes for our backcountry rescue call. And it was a lot quicker than I anticipated it to be. And, and then drilling down the data, Station 5 reduced their average time on call significantly year over year. And, last year we spent the average of 110 minutes on the backcountry call, and this year it dropped to 94 minutes. So that's a significant change in time on scene and out of service. So seeing that most of the calls are at Slide Rock for Station 5 backcountry, and the fact that we added a third person to Station 5, I'd venture to guess that maybe having that additional staffing is, so this is a proof in the pudding moment where, hey, what did that additional staffing do for reduce significantly time on scene at Station 5? And so I'm going to drill that data down further, but I wanted to deliver this to you this month. We can extract most everything, and I would ask and encourage you that with our one-on-one, if something sparks your interest in the paper or you call or something, and you want to know more about that particular thing that we do, ask me, and I'm willing to bet we can pull data for you. So beyond just response time, the stuff that is the national reporting, it probably can get as creative as you guys want to with this and really pull some neat stuff.
Chief, if I could just jump in the room. I think it's important what you posted up here for backcountry rescue timelines, but we all understand that on scene time, whether it's backcountry or standard typical incident, CMS or fire, it's still on the time you leave quarters to the time you get on scene. I think for our taxpaying public, they want to see, well, how much time did it take you to get ready? How much did it take you to get out that door, and how much time did it get on scene? Regardless, and I think if we do that and continue to do that monthly, it has more of an impact to the person on the ground out there, as opposed to quarterly, where it has an effect on the age, perhaps. It's more of what we're, as a board, trying to our attention to. So I think we both. I would see those response times from the time of alarm to the time they hit that on button to the time they hit the on scene button, and then we could see through time, day of week, day of month. So it's holiday. We got a ton of traffic from the en route time to the on scene time is way out of proportion. Why is that? Well, it was all day weekend, for example. I think that's important for our public, that even though it may be just a little bit of experience in extra time to get there, we know that it's quicker between midnight and 6 in the morning than it is from 6 in the morning till o'clock in the morning because of traffic. When we see those as the public, they understand, okay, my department, my tax dollars are going to exactly where they need to go. Or any member on the board, why is it taking us longer in the middle of summer? Nobody here because it's too hot. But for the
that's a great perspective I didn't consider, and to that point, we will do a monthly timeout.
It's a question that I think maybe the board, as we go on our one-on-ones, the board can have put drive us in that direction.
Other than statutory requirements at these meetings, they are your meetings, so we'll provide what you guys want to see, and my plan is collectively land on something that's great. For a few months, we're like, okay, let's change it, then we can do that, as long as it doesn't violate statute. So perfect, I'll have it ready.
It is a slide that we had for several years through changing of programs and so on and so forth. It fell to the wayside, so it would be nice to see it back in there. Is there any other comment on that?
I'm
Yeah, you can-
really pleased to see, and I completely support what you said.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Oh, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
So we've got, as you can see, we've got quite a few community appreciation. We've got a group of stack of food that's over the top. And, it's pretty awesome. And it has engagement. You can see that there. And then with that, we can continue our, jump out of the chief's report and continue the rest of the agenda. Just, you don't have any questions.
No, I do want to call out our website. Is that, am I jumping ahead here?
No,
Okay.
in the interest of time, I figured if you had any questions about that, you can ask me.
Yeah, we'll make it quick.
For your
I have been going through our website. It looks great. I know staff have been working on it, a lot of good stuff. We put a link on there, Firewise, and it goes straight to the basic national. As we do one-on-ones, I'm going to see if we can make it more personal to Sedona Fire. So if somebody has a question about Firewise, there's that we can do for our community, but I'll do that more and more with our one-on-one.
Okay.
So, but website looks great. Okay, is that it for you?
now.
Okay, okay. All right, well, thank you for your chiefs, for this, always by the staff, and, all these colored pictures on our agenda is great. Thank you. I am gonna go to page 3 real quick. Bear with me. Okay, we have a couple resolutions to approve, review, and sign. Our board member, we have resolutions to place their names on the account as a signer, and at the same time, remove those who have left. There are two resolutions before the board. Deal with 3 counts, if I'm not mistaken. We have one, that one, and this one, yeah. I'd like to read them. They're very short, won't take very long. Resolution 2022-06, update the SFD bank account names, the Chase Bank accounts, 2 accounts, and whereas Fire Chief, Sedona Fire Chase Bank account, there are 2, as board member Camelo listed as a signer, and whereas board member Scott Bringett will be added to the Sedona Fire District's Chase Bank accounts as a signer. Therefore, let it be resolved that the board directs that board member El Camelo will be removed as a signer, and board member Bringett will be added on the above referenced account. Our Chief Edmonds will be authorized to complete any necessary paperwork with the Chase Bank El Camelo as a signer and add Scott Bringett as a signer on the above referenced account. Second resolution is to accept that it is with the county general fund account that has L as a listed signer, and we are going to remove L and add Scott Bringett. Again, authorizing Chief Ed Mazulis to complete any necessary paperwork as to make that happen. With that said, I move to approve resolutions 2022-05 and 2022-06, the exchange of names for those 3 accounts. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Okay, resolutions 2022-05 and 06 are approved. Thank you very much, and we'll go ahead and put you on those accounts. Next item on the agenda is the nomination and selections of Sonoma Fire District board positions, both board chair and the board clerk. And I'd like to start off with the board clerk. Open up the nominations for a board clerk. Is the person second and responsible in my absence? I have any nominations?
Helen McNeil?
Okay, Helen McNeil, is there any other? Okay, we have a single nomination of Helen McNeil for the board clerk. I'll ask Helen to accept the nomination. Okay, then let us go forward and move to nominate Helen McNeil as our board chair. I have a second to the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. 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 That's a plus. So with that said, the motion is approved to have Helen McNeil as our new clerk for this new session. Thank you. Okay. Next up is the nomination board chair. For nominations, do we have any nominations?
I nominate Dave Soto.
Dave Soto, I know that guy. Okay, I accept the nomination. Is there other nominations for any other board member? Oh, okay, then I move to nominate Dave Soto as the board chair for the Sedona Fire District's governing board. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Dave Soto is now the new board chair for the Sedona Fire District's governing board.
Roll.
Thank you. Just over. Okay. Okay, with that said, next item is discussion of possible actions for a strategic plan quarterly presentation dates. Chief, I think that's you. That's that.
Thing that were presented last board meeting and back those work for you folks.
Yeah, meeting date.
Well, this,
Meeting date.
okay, I have G on this says possible strategic plan quarterly presentation dates.
My apologies, I was looking at IT.
Oh, oh, I skipped. I got you.
Yeah,
I was so wrapped up in, hey, you can slap that. Look up, Dave. Okay. This plan approved of the 2023 board meeting dates. Thank you for bringing that. We had in our packet the dates for the meeting. Everything is scheduled for third Tuesday of the month, each month, up into November. I believe November's date for the meeting runs very close to Thanksgiving. And we have it shown on that schedule as moving it up a week to the 14th. Is that what it is? I'm going off memory right now.
Yes.
The 14th? Okay, thank you. And we're this year, the first right now, this meeting was the 13th, which is a week early. For 2023 December meeting was on the 19th, which is more than just a little over a week on the calendar. So I bring that up. We'll keep it on the 19th for December's meeting, but we'll move up November's meeting for Thanksgiving, mainly to accommodate those who travel and get into the holiday. So with that said, is there any comments on what input from the board? Okay, with that says, I make a motion to go ahead and accept the meeting dates for 2023 as presented. Do I have a second? Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so the fire board meeting dates for 2023 as listed here are approved. Okay, and lastly, item G, getting back on track, strategic plan quarterly presentation dates.
Mr. Chair, I would suggest motions made to approve a quarterly presentation of the Sedona Fire District strategic plan starting at the January board meeting.
At that board meeting, okay. Would, in this case, are you looking at March 21st?
What we have to do in March, we can do it at the start of the quarter in January. We do it first quarter of January, April, July.
Okay. Goes by, if I could mark
January,
January,
April,
got it,
July,
okay,
October.
okay. So that said, that you're prepared to do a January 17th strategic plan,
Correct,
okay,
will be.
will be. Right. So, go ahead and, motion to approve our strategic plan. Quarterly presentation dates is January 17th, April 18th, July 18th, October 17th, discussed. Do I have further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Those are our dates. Been approved. Thank you. Now, lastly, on our agenda, we have our fire district related activities, the last board meeting. And I'll start with Helen, if you will, please.
Well, I have a very unique accomplishment report. I'm probably the only board member, probably the only person in Sedona Fire who's been pulled across the cafeteria floor on my back and deposited in the bathroom by the fire marshal.
By the fire marshal.
The fire marshal at the Asher training. Seriously, thank you for rescuing me. No, I want to really congratulate the team who put together the Asher training. They did an absolutely amazing job, not just the IT, but the people here at Sedona Fire and all of the folks that attended to me as a victim. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful, and I'm so proud to have been associated with Sedona Fire. So that's the first thing, and second thing, I probably about to start on the GS, but I was gifted with a Sedona Fire magnet from Matthew. It's inside my car, and I love it. And I really appreciate it. And I think it's something we should consider more broadly making available, selling, like they do at the Humane Society, as a way of supporting the fire district. So anyway, those main activities, not a lot of exciting this month, but that's coming up this week.
Janet?
Okay, well, I unfortunately, the flu, so I missed a lot of things, including the Asher training, which I was very looking forward to, and I missed it. I missed a couple of other things, so, the flu.
Well, thank you. And Scott, at the end of our meetings, get a chance to just the public know what is with the committee relates to the fire district's governing board and what they are involved with. Generally speaking, at the release, maybe the one-on-one that you'll have with the chief, or maybe just speaking with somebody in the public about the fire district. But it's an opportunity to allow the public to see that we just sit up here.
Right.
We get involved.
Right.
So I don't expect you to have anything this month, but if you do, that'd be great.
Pretty short list.
Have at it, if you like.
No, actually, I enjoyed my one-on-one with Chief, and I got a tour of this building. I only got there twice. And so, we talked about the things that we do, get out there, look at all the areas. I'm really interested in seeing how, in my own mind, how big this district is. You can look at a map and say, wow, that's big, but I want to see it right up front. And it would be, whenever it's do that, that was great. And I also have another small list, because even before I got in here and got behind this desk, there are already people asking me a lot of questions. And I think that's great.
because that's part of what we do, is the education. And, I was really impressed with how smoothly everything went, and I had my cards and my 42-pound book. And, no, I like being out there with the community as well. And, I mentioned to the chief, there are some others, like the community center, and sure more in the city area, we can try and, get more acquainted with.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I know you're not feeling well, but if, something you'd like to add, for your participation in the, this past month.
I don't know if you can hear me. If you can,
We
please acknowledge.
Yes,
You
yes,
can?
we can.
Oh, very good. Well, yes, I'm not feeling that well. And so I'm sorry I couldn't attend, but I'm here virtually. And so I'd like to congratulate our outgoing member, Al Camello, and our incoming board member, Scott, and our new board clerk. So with that, I wish each and every one of you a very, very Merry Christmas. God bless you.
Thank you, Jamie. Okay, that just leaves me, busy month, a lot of work I put into the Firewise program, over in Prescott, with the full intent of bringing the program over Verde Valley, and in particular, Zona Fire District, working with, our fire marshal, Dory Booth. So, spent a lot of time going over that hill back and forth, and it's to continue. But that said, again, thanks to the board, to the staff, administrative staff. Wish you all a happy holidays, and be safe out there because the weather's kind of turning. And with that said, meeting is adjourned.